Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Iron Panther Presents. Today, we got Kim and Jamani and Chris to discuss The Last of Us on HBO Max's with season 1, episode 1. As you know, HBO likes to air their stuff at 9 o'clock at night for some reason. So we are going to do this in a delayed fashion. So we're doing episode 1, the movie, today, and then following episodes as we go along. So that will be the process. But anyway, let's get to it. Chris, what did you think of this movie, TV show adaptation of the video game?
This was probably one of the most accurate adaptations I had ever seen, straight up. I freaking loved it. It wasn't until I went on the podcast version, which the guy who voices Joe in the video game, who apparently will be in the show later on, he was basically saying that this episode was, to your point, was supposed to be two. They filmed as 2 different episodes. That's why there's 9 episodes for the whole season. But it was supposed to be 10. But HBO saw it, and where it was supposed to end, where the credits were supposed to hit, was after the events of the apocalypse. You see the boy being affected. And then the lady who said, I can't do it, like burning the bodies. You see the guy burning the one body, and then you see it's Joel. And then he just he's a complete opposite person than what he was when he was dealing with Sarah. And that's where it was supposed to end for the first episode. But HBO was like, nah, we're not sure if just ending there is going to make people want to still tune in next week. So they were like, nah, we're going to have to combine it. And the two were like, oh, but we filmed this 2 different episodes. So they made it into 1. So that's why it is definitely like a movie, because it was meant to be 2 different episodes. But I think that was a good decision to kind of keep it as 1. You know what I mean? Because of obviously people who like myself that's familiar with the game knows what's going to happen. But you're talking about to new audiences, you don't know if they want to stick around, So no, I freaking loved it. I love the whole idea of us being introduced to the idea of this being a love story, not a zombie. It's not a zombie genre, even though people will call it that. That's unescapable. But it is literally a story about love and what love will make you do, good for the good and the bad, which is completely what the video game was about too, and all wrapped into a survival horror game. And the fact that we see Joe being transformed after the death of his daughter, Sarah, great actress, young actress, daughter of Thandie Newton. So I thought that was awesome. And I just thought overall they just did a great. I feel like I'm repeating myself again. They just did a really great job overall. I'm just looking forward to what other stuff comes in store. I saw this is what's supposed to be. They said per episode it costs them more than Game of Thrones. They said it was like $10 million per episode. And I actually kind of remembering what the different creatures are in this show and different things that goes on in the game, I was like, okay, I could probably see that. You know what I mean? No, they don't have dragons in this, but they got other stuff where I'm like, all right, they're going to want to make certain things look realistic. You know what I mean? So maybe. So yeah, I'm looking forward to all that stuff. So good job, HBO. So I'm done.
Thank you, Chris. Kim, what did you think of the series premiere?
Oh, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was accurate to the game. Like pretty much every scene you could because I saw some people who did reviews and they put the video game next to the actual movie, and everything was the same. Like every detail, her t-shirt, his clothes, everything was exactly as the game. And so that's of course going to be wonderful to the fans, right, of the game, right? So I enjoyed it. I thought it was well done. It is sad, of course. It's but I mean, we just went through a pandemic, right? So I'm guessing if they would have released this in 2019, 2020, this probably wouldn't have been something people wanted to watch because we were experiencing our pandemic, right? But now, since we're kind of over it, I think that this is it was a good idea to release it now. People are going to watch it because we're hungry for new stuff, right? So this is perfect. And I think it probably did cost $10 million because later on, as you see the previews for this season, you see the monsters, right? The way that they change. And there's no way they could have put a person in that, right? Well, I mean, it's probably like a green screen kind of thing going on, but it's very detailed. Like the part that I really thought was so detailed was when they went down into that train station, and then they went in and they saw the body, and it had the fungus had taken over the. That was actually, I know it's going to sound weird, but it was beautifully done. Yeah. Like it was like a work of art on the wall. And I was like, this is, you know me, I love cinematography. So I was like, anything that's, that's just catches my eye, I was like, that's beautiful. Whoever did that, I'm hoping they get some type of award for the graphics of this show, because it was really well done. And the story between Sarah and her dad is heartbreaking. It was hard. I did cry. I'm sorry. I'm emotional. I'm a mom.
You're supposed to.
I cried so hard when she passed. I was like, I can't imagine. You just can't imagine as a parent that what he's feeling. So I felt for him. So he's a fantastic actor. The young lady, she's beautiful. She looks just like her mommy, and she did a great job. Like I hope that they do flashbacks. I know that's probably not what the video game does, but I just want to see more of her, because I thought she did a really good job, Now, Ellie, I think Ellie's going to do a good job too. That young lady's a pretty good actress. So I'm really excited about how they stretch this relationship into a dad and daughter, even though that's not his daughter, right? But there was a couple of scenes where you saw that dad, that bear take over, to protect her, and I was like, yeah, he's still a dad at the end of the day. So I loved it. All
right. Jamani, what you got?
Yeah. So I played the game. I didn't get very far in the game, or lost interest at a certain point, or
you got scared. Let's be real, because I had to drop the game at one point when Ellie and Joel got into the sewers in the game, where all those with the croakers, when the croakers showed up, I was like, oh, I'm gonna need to take a break. All right, go ahead.
That's awesome. You were saying
it was just I don't know. I just got busy with other stuff, but it was, that game had a lot of, what do you call it, like acclaim. Like it was a big acclaim because it was so cinematic and everything. Like there was no game that had like a storyline like that at the time, and it was like a big deal that like you're playing a video game. It's like a movie at the time, and it was like PlayStation is actually a part of making the game as opposed to just being a platform. So that was a big deal. Like, was it 10? Is almost 10 years ago now.
2013 is when it came out.
Yeah. So, to see that it actually, ended up being a TV show is cool. And to Kim's point, man, if they had done this went into pre-production or something like that 5 years ago, and they came out with it during the pandemic when everybody was home and would have been watching it, this show might be the biggest show of HBO or something. Like, just being so timely, because nobody had even heard of a pandemic, until coronavirus, like in real life, so to say, in our lifetime. So I really liked the message at the beginning of the episode, because I was like, that actually kind of scared me. I was like, yeah, that actually sounds very real. All that, like, I understood all the science stuff that the guy was saying. I was like, yeah, that actually could happen with all of that type of stuff. I like that, once the outbreak happened, it was shot for shot, basically the video game. Like, with all the twists and turns of the pickup truck and everything, it was very entertaining to see all of that being brought to real life. That is where all of that production value and the $10 million and all that stuff, that filming that continuous type of shot, that's probably gonna like sweep up all of the awards and everything. Everything as far as, I guess you'd say, when you do the whole 20-year jump, it's they switch some things up with, like the whole, people are complaining about the car battery and stuff like that. I've seen that it was supposed to be guns. I'm like, they say that there's a reason why they say they switched that up. I don't necessarily know exactly why as of yet, but I guess we'll see. But I like that they bring the drugs aspect in, like where drugs is currency and everything, like how it was in the game, and like finding drugs and all of that type of stuff and collecting it, and it was like energy or currency or whatever in the game as well. So I see that it's going to be very good going forward. I have already seen that they're in pre-production or production for the third game. So when they say that they're not going to go beyond the game itself, if the game keeps coming out with new ones, then they're going to have another season. So you might as well prepare for season 3. That's pretty much.
Well, that's good that it's sticking to the source material, because I think one of the biggest problems we had with Game of Thrones was that people knew, like, the once they went beyond the source material, it really got off the rails, and they're like, and so it's good that they're like, we were following the game. I didn't know anything about the show or the game, so I was coming with basically like a Walking Dead perspective. Like, I was like, who's Rick? So I was like, all right, and where's Carl? And we kind of got that, and then so I was like, okay, this is, that's why I pitched it to people. I was like, oh, this is like The Walking Dead, except the monsters are different, but still about family, Fast and the Furious. So I was like, all right, so I was like, okay, well, let's see where that goes.
This Is Us, except this Last of Us. All right, let's take a toll. How many times, how many times throughout the season Last of Us is going to be renamed This Is Us? I was like, my vote is going to say at least 13.
Wow. 13. Well, 13.
I'm messing with you.
So
because we're family without being family.
Yeah, I was like, so they're well. So I thought I wanted more of Sarah. So and I thought the pandemic or the accelerated extremely quickly, and maybe they were just trying to get to going. I felt like they could have mistakenly stretched out a whole season just on the 2003 days. The things are happening what are these creatures? Sarah and father are trying to work through this shit, trying to stay alive, and then she dies, and then we kind of flash forward to the future. They could have did that. But to Kim's point, I just wanted more of Sarah's and her father's relationship. I thought she was a wonderful character. And to see that kind of develop, and how that him and his brother and that sort of thing would have been awesome. On the road, I thought that would have been cool.
I must say that they gave it a good half an hour more than what you get in the game.
I was gonna say, yeah, they actually gave you more than video games. They didn't even get her to go to school in the video game. It's she wakes up the night up. It happened,
So that being said, right? So then I was like, okay, I'm assuming that the student that was twitching was also infected. We're supposed to say that, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you got a cordyceps. Yep.
That's when it started. That's a sign. Yeah.
Right? And then the old lady, I love that scene where it's and I was like,
so creepy.
Yeah, when she's so in the back, and
and then her mouth opens.
Yes.
That's the fungus coming out of her mouth.
Yes.
But
it was hunger. It was hungry. Yeah.
So then she's it closed. I was like, why is she back to normal? I didn't understand. I thought she would have
because it's starting, but it's like anything. It'll start and then it stops and then it start and then you full blown.
All right. So I thought so that's the only thing I was like, But the planes slowly falling.
Yeah.
I was like, that's HBO. That's HBO quality and money right there.
The way that they showed it, I was thinking because in the video game you don't get a lot of the 2003 the beginnings of it, and I was like, she's all outside and everything. A lot of the stuff happens coming into the house. So it's like, I was like, she's walking outside and everything. I'm like, is she immune? Because I'm like, when she dies, I'm like, she got shot. Would she have lived? Because she was just walking around like nothing affected her. Like she was immune too.
Well, no, she didn't know what was going on though.
Right.
She didn't know.
No, but I'm saying like she didn't end up turning.
If infected, she was around at least two infected people. I mean, so the grandma was changing right in front of her. The student in at school, right? And like they don't do it.
And the dad, the older man, Mr. Adler, Mrs. Adler, Mr. Adler, the grandma, and then Mrs. Adler. So she was around all of that.
Yeah.
And nothing happened to her, and that's why she was so scared.
So the hint that they said, especially with the whole companion podcast part, was a lot of like was hinted strongly is that whatever happened, you hear Joe and Tommy talk about it when they're like riding around, like saying that's where it probably started. It was over at the hospital. Remember, they got Mrs. Adler, the older lady, back from the hospital to give her meds. The hint is whatever happened to her happened to her while she was at that hospital.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? And that's where it spread. You know what I mean? And so
it wasn't because of the bread, or because remember she was eating. They were really.
Oh no, it was the biscuit.
You mean biscuit? Because we don't with the fungi from flour and stuff. Because they were.
No, that was an Easter egg. No, the biscuit thing, especially when you saw it in the oven. You notice again when it got hot, it started to grow. You saw the biscuit. All that was just an Easter egg being like just like fungus, like fungus. The warmer it gets, the more it grows. I think that's all.
Okay. I got that. Okay, you know what? That's a good idea.
I didn't.
Okay, and I put that on my notes as one of the signs, but I didn't really put it together till you said that. Okay, I got that.
So like the questions again after 10 plus years of The Walking Dead, they never actually answered that either. But how did it start? Like how did it get to America? Was it really going on in Indonesia like they were talking about? And like how does it infect people? Like why is it only certain people got it, other people didn't? I mean, apparently it was happening at the police station. I'm assuming when he went to go pick up his brother, because they killed all the people. I'm assuming they killed the creatures to drive. It was that
bartender,
yeah. So it's like he must have seen quite a few of them as he was driving home to pick up his daughter. So I was like,
so the game never. So I was going to say in the show actually explained it even more than the game even did. But even the director, you guys really need to watch that podcast, because the director of both, because they had both the director of the game and the guy who made the show, they were both on it together, and they were basically saying why, like, because one of the questions was like, well, are you going to reveal really what it was? They said the problem with this is they want to throw hints and basically kind of be like scientifically of what happens and let your imagination go. They said the problem is if they actually say what it is, you will have all these little experts going in like, well, technically this and this, and they want to stay away with that. They said that's the danger of actually saying exactly what happened, where it started, because then people try to analyze it too much. No, instead they wanted your imagination to be like, give you just enough and be like, this is how it happened, and it was already here on Earth. Now, like where it started, that's up to you. But the moment they just give you everything, they said that was the danger they were going to run into, is just over analyzing it. And is, you know what I mean? Yeah. So
there's
which they did a better job in the game.
I started listening to it, but I have to finish it. So.
And there's people, I saw a few biologists, on the thing to be like, there is the fungus that in 1964 doctor was talking about that takes over the the ants and stuff and makes them do stuff. It's like that's possible. So I can see what you're saying, that they were like, if we make it too realistic, then people are going to be like, hey, but the science says this, and this. So I was like, is that 1964 scientist in the game? Like, that
was made up for the thing. They didn't even do that. Actually, that was a great touch that HBO did with that, because the director actually said they had a different version first. They said the first version they had was, I guess because they said one day we were watching YouTube and they were watching the thing about the ants, about the whole ants and the whole how the cataclysms, like how the fungi affects the ants and creates like what you call like what do we call it? We call it the zombie ants or whatever, which actually exists or whatever. They were the original pitch was to show that in the beginning, to show the whole thing about like the nature thing, like so it's the ants, blah 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 blah. And then, but they were saying when they watched it back, there was like it doesn't. It's like, okay, it looks all right, but we wanted something that would kind of dwell harder to the fact that like this is something that could happen, and they wanted to throw the aspect of we just come out of this pandemic or whatnot, and to show that everyone's thinking that viruses and viruses is the most scariest thing out there, and then be like, no, there's something that's even worse than that, because there's something that there is no cure for, and that's like, if this fungi, if it can mute, if it, like when it gets hotter, basically kind of putting an Easter egg that about global warming, saying if it gets warm enough, that fungi, like, because right now it only affects like smaller stuff like plant life and insects, but it's a possibility it can go bigger. And they said that the documentary they had with just the ants, they said it kind of gave somewhat of a clue, but it just didn't hit hard enough.
It didn't drive it home that this could be a threat to humans and in the future, right? And since we already know about global warming, it kind of you go with, it must be the global warming.
And they didn't want to make it too corny by making it like 10 years before 2003, because they'd be like, whoa, how ironic that they did this 10 years before. So it was like, no, 1968. I was like, all right, because I'm pretty sure there's a video of, so anyone could probably believe that there's some video out there maybe of that at some time, what I mean? So so yeah, I thought that was an interesting touch, because the game doesn't even do that. The game, you hear people talk about, it's like, man, it's that fungi. It's like, that happens to ants. Like, you hear people talk about it and you're like, oh, while you're playing the game. But this one is like, that intro, I was like, damn, all right, that was a nice touch. They just added that just to say that, I don't know, just some kind of Captain Planet-esque thing with the whole, like, because of global warming, this is what could happen.
I will tell you, it was very, very interesting what that guy was saying. It got me. I was kind of like,
that dude got scared. That host got scared, and that kind of creeped me out.
So did I. So did I.
And that's why
I was like, oh shit.
And that's why it was so good, because it sounds so realistic. Like, that could be some shit. Like, we need to start worrying about fungus.
He's like, we worry about COVID. Oh man, we got to worry about these damn fungi.
The fungus.
Any mushroom seed, stomp it out.
And then when Kim, I was actually bringing the same thing, Kim, when you saw the guy stuck to the wall, right?
Yeah.
I was like, so is that the goal? Like, is that the goal of the fungus, to be fungus, and it just kind of stuck the guy to the wall and it stopped growing? So I'm like, are all the people going?
Because it has to feed, right? Doesn't it have to feed in order to grow?
So right? I thought so too. So I was like, why does the dude just stuck to the wall? Like, why didn't he go upstairs and start killing everybody inside the camp? Like, so it was like, and the fungus just stopped. And how is it that, Joel didn't get infected because he's walking past the fungus? Like, if the fungus is there, like, why is it not spores or whatever, like in the air? They
should be in the air. Yeah, exactly. Like, I thought that they should have on a gas mask on Ellie and, not Ellie.
That was and that's where the 90, I think it was interesting what you said in the thing, Jomani, about it being about 90% accurate to the game, because I kind of said the same thing. I said the big thing that they changed from the game was the gas mask thing, right? Because to what you said, that's what happened. Like, a lot of people just inhales it, and that's what happened. What happened with the show, though, was the problem they ran into was they played with that idea, and they said, well, the problem is half the time we're going to have these characters with a gas mask on, and we won't be able to get to the emotions of them. So apparently, I guess throughout the show, they are going to reveal, I guess, other ways that people get infected. Because I was thinking, because even in the trailer, I was like, they're down in the tunnel, and I'm thinking like, well, in the game, everyone wears a gas mask except for like Ellie. I'm like, why isn't no one wearing a gas mask? And I'm thinking like, and then they said they ain't gonna do that about like all these characters, because then they'll be wearing gas masks like 60% of the time. I'm like, okay, that kind of makes sense.
And you can't, and you don't, and you won't even, you'll forget what character, you got to figure it out. You got to look at them. And
right. And then this was like an emotional type of show, and you're not going to get any of that with just like, oh, come on, man, come on. Like,
also Pedro's not signing up for another show. He has to do that.
He's like, I'm done with masks. I'm done with masks.
No. I was like, I already got a hit show I'm doing with the mask on. I ain't doing two of them. I'm like, absolutely not. I was like, so that's probably the other thing. I played the game years ago, but based on the show, so the fungus makes you drink blood, and then you end up dead on the wall. So how's it spreading? So again, they changed the infection vector, so people could, you can see the actor's face. Fungus most likely would have started mutating in China. As in real life, their Olympic team was caught using it instead of steroids. Well, you can't mess with China. People get upset, so they're like, we changed it to Indonesia.
The way you read that, the way you just read that and says like, they said it started in China. I'm like, uh-oh. I was like, I don't know. We might have to censor this video now.
Yeah, it's like we can't do that. Episode
like,
chill,
chill.
start with the
China
zombie
talk.
ants intro to further the explanation. I mean that's true. I did like though, if the show is really Ellie and Joel's journey, right? Like that's the show, that's the game. I did like how in an hour and a half they got us there. And they're like, now let's get started, right? So like we don't have a whole fucking season, House of the Dragon, where we're seeing like silly shit, like to get to we still haven't got to the Dance of the Dragons, like So I was like, let's do this, and I was like, so I'm like, let's get the show started. So I was happy with that because I don't need to see Sarah for 5 episodes, but I'm like, maybe a couple.
But the thing is when I watch TV shows. Whether it's something like a BMF or any other like dramatic show, right? I find myself saying, why is certain things happening in the show? And I'm like, this is comparable to a video game because it seems like a side mission. And I'm like, when you watch a movie or a TV show based on a video game, when are we gonna get to the side missions? Because that can always be a tragedy of a narrative, is if we're going to stay true to the game, they had to go off and do the side mission just to, because you have to extend gameplay in games. And it's like, are we going to have a lot of those coming forward as well, where it's just, because it's more of like an open world game type of
Mandalorian is not based on a video game, and they do that. That's most of the season. It's like these side missions to get episodes from point A to point B, so you can meet these characters. So the last episode, these characters can come together to fight the big fight. And I was like, that sounds a lot like Mandalorian.
I doubt that's what's going to happen with here, since there's only 9 episodes anyway. You know what I mean? Like as you remember from the game, Jamani, like certain they got plenty of like material from what I heard, as far as they there was a Q&A that said, okay, is the characters that's in the game in this show, and is there new characters that you add? And they says yes and yes. It says all the characters that you fall in love with and you're sad to see pass away, they will be in this show. And we also added new characters as well. And I was like, well, shit, if you're doing all that, that will be like the whole scene. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know if they're gonna have room for like a side quest, to your point, Jamani. You know what I mean?
I'm saying, does the first season end at the first game, or will they
That's a good question.
I think so.
Extend the first game into the second season at some point.
So here's the deal. So I think the end. So one of the things that they said was episode 8 will be the flashback of Ellie and what happened with Ellie and Riley, right? And if as I don't know if you played what's called Left Behind. No, it was called Last of Us Left Behind, and it was in between the. It was like basically the game before the second game, and it was the prequel. What happened with Ellie and her friend Riley, like the black girl you see in the trailer, right? The other black girl you see in the trailer, and it shows. And they said that's like the whole episode 8 will be the flashback to that, right? I feel like the end will be like kind of very similar to Last of Us, especially in one of the trailers. They said like coming up, and it looked like he was in the hallway of what I believe was at the end of Last of Us. And I was like, oh shit, is this going to be the end? And then it makes sense too, because The Last of Us 2, Ellie is 19. It's 5 years later, right? And in real life, the girl who's playing Ellie is 19 in real life. Like she's playing 14 in the show, but in real life, she's 19. So I'm thinking like, well, damn. I was like, okay, so this will be kind of easy for them to kind of do that. And then next season, she comes up and she just wears like different gear and just kind of make her look a little bit older, even though she still looks like a little girl. But they can do stuff to make her look like her age. You know what I mean? And
can we talk about Joe and how they really didn't do anything to age him other than like his beard or something?
Yeah, they just gave him a bigger mane, like a bigger like
lion. Was gray. I mean, his hair was very gray.
I mean, that's really gray. There's only so much they can do without putting prosthetics on him and shit, and that would look ridiculous.
Yeah, anyone believe?
I'm saying they could have done something as far as, and not to say make him look older throughout the series, but like did something to prosthetics or something to make him look younger, just for the
Oh,
I guess
DH
you say
him.
that.
So DH him in 2003.
To your point, when his daughter, when Sarah asked like, "How old are you today?" He said 36. I was like, I'm waiting for him to be like, "Psych."
You're
Like,
right, right.
I was like,
I
is
was
he gonna be
like,
like
no,
psych?
you're older.
But I was like,
I
no,
mean,
he's
he
like, oh
didn't
shit,
look
he's
36.
36.
He looked like he was in his 40s, but it wasn't that bad. Like
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. But I was expecting the psych.
I
Though.
would.
Yeah.
Me too. Me too. I was
I
like,
mean, he's a
kinda-
good-looking guy, and I don't know how old he is in real life. I'm guessing maybe in his 50s, but
Probably.
he's a good-looking guy, and he doesn't look his age. If you know what I mean, like I feel like he's in his 50s. I'll look it up, but he looks younger than his 50s. You know what I'm saying? Like he doesn't look like an average 50-year-old guy, or whatever. So I think that I mean, yeah, it's a stretch, but
Yeah.
I
I'm about
don't
to say,
think it's
but
a big deal. You know what I'm saying?
to your point, I can't tell you how many Liam Neeson movies I watch where he's like, "Oh, I'm like 42." I'm like, "Nigga, you look like you 60."
Yeah.
Like, it's
Now
like,
that's
stop
a
it.
different. Now
Stop it,
Liam
Liam.
Neeson
Stop.
has not aged well. And Pedro has. Okay, so I'm just saying, there's a difference. Okay?
Well, I'm not saying about him in real life, or I'm just saying if you're just watching the show and just from whatever mark you want to say in 2003 to 2023, it's just like, yeah, he didn't really age that. Like, has he been drinking the same type of water Lorenz Tate has or something? Like,
He's 47. He's 47.
oh, okay.
So I mean, 10 years, right?
I mean, it was either that or like they ain't got a lot of options, right? Like get another actor, and he's a good actor, so you don't want to do that. And like with the color, with the gray, like you just like also they probably dyed their hair anyway to look younger, you know what I'm saying? So they probably let his gray come out, then it's easier to look older. As we associate gray with older. So I thought that was cool. The little boy that got murdered, basically.
Yeah,
euthanized. That
Euthanized,
was
basically.
horrible.
Yo,
I felt so
that's
bad
life,
for
though.
him. I know.
I had to go
Chris,
back on that and I'd be
oh,
like, you know what? I would have had to do the same thing.
true. I like that. I love that she didn't scare him, right? She kept him calm and she made him feel better. And I was, you know what I'm saying? Like at least she was human about it, right? Like she was like, as soon as we give you this, it's gonna make you feel better, basically, and we're gonna get your favorite toys and your favorite food.
I was like, oh, he's fucked.
So he had a calm before. It's like when you put an animal down and they give them the calm medicine before they actually kill them. It's kind of humane to do that, right? So I thought that actress did a really good job. And the little boy, his facial expressions said everything. He was terrified until that moment when she said, "I'm gonna get your favorite food," and he was like, and then oh my God! But then when they showed him with the bag over his head, I cried.
Oh.
I cried. I couldn't help it. Oh. And then when they showed Joe, the lady said, "I can't do it." I understand her completely. As a human, you understand. And when Joe picked him up and had no emotion, I was like, it's about
transformed. Yep.
Yes, it transformed. I loved it. I love that they did it that way. It showed everything that the man is going through.
Yeah. Until the end, and he had flashbacks of like what happened to his daughter. Like, I'm not letting this happen again.
Yes.
You know. Yeah.
The contrast between the hardened man who's like, I can throw a dead kid on the fire to I'm going to kill this dude, like I'm not going to let them kill Ellie. Like that, and again, in an hour and a half, that's a hell of a character arc. Yeah. You know, feel like they kind of flip back and forth on that. So I was like, that's HBO. I mean, that's good writing.
But that was good.
But did you see Ellie's face? You see Ellie's face. So talk about the contrast between Sarah and Ellie, right? Obviously, they're two completely different. Sarah's a little sweetheart. Ellie is definitely rough around the edges, like 8, 9.
She's a rebel. She's a rebel.
I'm like, damn, is this the girl from Ozark? Like, what the hell? I was like, what the hell?
No, she's the girl. She's the queen. She's the queen from
no, I know that. No, I know that. I'm talking about the personality.
Personality. Like, about their life. That other little girl was like, you did not answer the call. I was like, I'm sorry.
But you notice, like, even when he was forced to kill that old lady, and then Sarah was like, you killed her. Like how dare you? And then all of a sudden, he's like beaten to death, this cop, this police officer, and Ellie was like happy about it. And I was like, this is the video game. This is where you realize that these two is like oil and water. Like they're dangerous together. They grow to love each other, but man, do not fuck with either one of them, Joe or Ellie. And I was like, oh, I was like, okay. I was like, wow, this show is encompassing like what like Ellie's transformation slowly but surely, and like how Joe is meant for her at the same time also bad for her, and vice versa. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. All right, HBO, I see what y'all doing. Y'all doing a lot in a good way. You know what I mean? So yeah. How do y'all feel, Jamon? How you feel about them bringing like the voices back? Like the guy who voiced Tommy, he was in this episode. The guy he played the guy with the doing the tower. I don't know. Remember he was saying, "Hey, where's Tommy at? Have you heard anything with the tower?" You know, the guy with the glasses.
Oh,
he voiced Tommy in the video game.
So it is Marlene. Marlene, the lady who
Marlene actually
she plays herself.
yeah,
she plays herself.
Yeah.
Troy Barker, he's coming later on. I think they say he's going to be one of the what are they called, the cannibals. One of the cannibals who he's the one who voices Joel. I guess apparently he's going to be in this season as well. And the girl who voiced Ellie, the girl from Growing Pains, and I guess she was in that the Disney, was it that Marvel Avengers movie at the end, that waitress? You know, the waitress that you see at the end?
Yeah.
She voices Ellie. She voices Ellie.
Oh.
In the game. She's going to be in the show later on the season too. So I was like, damn, all right.
Does this affect animals? Because Mercy was just flipping out because his people were acting nuts. So does this affect animals? Like in the video game, did it affect animals?
Yeah. So the Raiders, the bad guys in there, whatever, what they did was, because not everyone, you had to have money to have trackers to track to see if you had that, right? So if you're not military, what they would do, they would get these dogs, and the dogs were like alarm bells. So the dog, so they would have the dogs to sick them out, but like sick them out. And if the dog goes wild, they're like, he's infected, and then just take them out, whatever.
Wow.
So in the game, especially because you have Ellie around you, they're like, she's basically infected or whatever. You basically had to take out these dogs or whatever. So I was like, damn, I gotta take down another dog. The dog's coming like, you know what I mean? So it'll be interesting what Peter says if they do that in this.
Well, as long as they're not doing real dogs, that's fine.
Well, it's funny you should bring that up, because I was thinking when I saw the dog in 2003, I was like, usually they have that dog, like I Am Legend and stuff. Like the dog is there to kind of be a pet, whatever, and they help out, like, you know, they find the enemy or whatever. And then I was like, what happened to the dog? Like, dog just disappeared. But like, if a dog's a liability, I mean, to Ellie, then we can't have. Obviously, that dog is dead. But I'm saying, but like, you know, they can't get a new dog. Like, it has to be to them and no dogs. On a side note, how shitty is this man's watch? It breaks. His daughter has to pay to get it fixed, and then it breaks again. You're like, damn it. I was like,
I love that though. I love the idea that, because if you remember, it broke, the watch broke right at the time that he was shot. Him and his daughter died. And to him, even though it was pointed out that your watch is broke, he can't take that off, because like that's his daughter right there. Like his daughter fixed it up, and that, like, where it got stopped at is right the moment where his daughter died. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was, so it's like so I mean, it is kind of, you know, I did think it was kind of funny that she used his money to do that, because I kind of did that as a kid too, where I was like, I'm like begging my parents, like, can you give me some money or whatever so I can buy you something? And I'm like, damn.
I mean, we all did that because we didn't have our own money, right?
No money, yeah. It's like,
I mean, she robbed him though. I mean, that's different though. Like, you asked your parents. I mean,
she gave $60 back, so it only cost him 20. Yeah, gave him.
Like, but yeah, so I mean, yeah. So though I was impressed at how succinctly they got the story started, you know what I'm saying? I would have definitely appreciated a couple episodes of the initial like fights, you know, in Texas, and how that worked out. Because that whole city went to shit extremely quickly. Like the military is already showing up killing people. Like, I'm like, that's quick.
Isn't that scary though? Like when I mean, I know what the military is, or you guys know my son was in the military, but it's scary when I know what they're supposed to do, right? This is their job, right? They're supposed to protect us. But when they would just shooting people, and I understand it's to protect us, is still devastating though, right? But they have to kill people in order to save other people. But see it is sad.
Yeah, but usually in these kind of movies, like, you see the general who's in charge, and like there's some.
Well, on the radio, the guy on charge was on the radio, and Joe and Tommy knew Tommy knew that the tone of what the guy on the phone was saying to the soldier, he knew that they were going to shoot him because Tommy had been in the war. I mean, had been in the military.
Well, I mean, both. I'm saying, but usually it's like, how did they know this fast? Like to be like the infection is already happening. It looked like it just started, but somehow the military knew what was happening, knew these people were turning into creatures, and like it already gave.
I think that's why they threw that
stuff before us, right?
I was gonna say I think that's why they threw this thing on the radio beforehand. Like the Pentagon knew, everybody knew what was happening, and they were trying to contain it. And then at that point, that's why the soldier was confused. The soldier's like, I'm sorry, say that again. Like in the video game, he actually adds in there. The video game, the dude's like, wait, but sir, it's a kid. There's a kid here. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, and he's like, are you sure? Like you just hear him saying, you sure? And he's like, because he's like conflicted, like, what? Like, you want me to what? Like, you know what I mean? So so like it seems like the majority of the military doesn't know what's going on, but the higher ups are the ones like, oh, that person's injured. You see like blood coming from the leg.
I mean, Trump knew about COVID and his people before we knew about COVID, right?
Yeah. So like Outbreak, the movie Outbreak with Dustin Hoffman.
Yes.
Oh yeah, Morgan Freeman,
they did that well. Of like, you know, like they knew about it, but it was happening and it was starting to spread, and the military come in and like, okay, we're trying to contain these people, and they say, fuck it, we just got to kill these people. But like they showed the progression of like, you know, we didn't start out murdering. You know what I'm saying? It took a couple of days before we got there. Yeah. But I was like, but again, that was a whole movie, and that would have been just Texas. Like they could have did something like that just for Texas, and then kill Sarah, and then I was like, oh, then what does that mean later on? I mean, you know, I was saying, but anyway, that's what I was thinking about. Like it was still a good story. I'm still excited. Like HBO is gonna win something.
What do you think about Ghost Rider playing Tommy? What do you think about Ghost Rider?
I did not know that.
You didn't know that? You ain't looking at my background?
I didn't know that. My friend, my coworker Ferguson, he probably knows that. I didn't know that was Ghost Rider. I was wondering why that was behind you.
Yeah, well, yeah, I thought we reviewed Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. together. That's why, remember? You don't remember talking about Ghost Rider?
You have a channel where Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was on.
Oh, that's right. It was right after that. I think we would always reference Coulson from there.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. And then we would sometimes, I guess when we talked about Ghost Rider for a little bit though.
Ghost Rider to me is Nicolas Cage. I mean, that's Ghost Rider I know. So I was like,
I like that movie.
Until
the scene got shitted on by so many people, and that movie was good. That was a good.
It was until his first. Let's be real. If you rewatch it though. Do me a favor, rewatch it.
Okay.
His transformation, and he looks I'm like, okay, what the fuck is this? Is this Wicker Man again? Like, what are we doing? Like
Nicolas Cage, man. He's like, I can do this face. They're like, but I mean,
that's when he still owed IRS money at the time. I think, you know what I mean? It was the beginning of his woes.
And he was doing any movie. He's still doing any kind of movie.
I think he paid back the IRS, and he's now in this cowboy movie apparently. But but Tommy. But I gotta say, but speaking of the guy who's playing Tommy, holy shit, he sounds just like the dude in the game. So. You know what I mean? He's like, just the whole roughness of it all. You know what I mean? The only fear I had about the show was I was afraid that people were going to be upset about the whole racial aspect of it. Yeah. You know how people are, because you got two Hispanics playing the main leads, Pedro and Tommy, you know, and Sarah, I guess, being, I guess, like mixed or whatever. But, you know, when in the game, they were pretty much all white, with exception of, I guess, Marlene, really. But I was thinking, like, is this going to be another thing that people complain about? I haven't heard a word, so I guess that's a good sign.
And Marlene in real life is actually mixed. Like she's black and white.
Yeah, but in the game she's a blonde hair, white girl, blue eyes. Like so, it's like there's no.
So I mean,
but Sarah, that's like I'm like that's what got me. I was like, she has an afro. She was like,
hair,
I was like,
I was thinking that her
in the video game she's like
a black woman, and he a Mexican and a black woman. That's where she got her curly hair from.
No, but I'm saying in the game she looks nothing like.
No, she doesn't. She doesn't.
Yeah. But I mean, Chris, to your point, Chris, the fact that people aren't shitting on this for that, like, I'm sure there's videos out there about it, but not to the level of like other stuff that that's gotten. So that is a credit. That is a credit.
Yeah, I mean, because the last few months, like the stuff, even freaking people are getting upset about like Lord of the Rings stuff.
Yeah,
I'm like, people get upset with Lord of the Rings, and then Game of Thrones, like, oh, y'all just had to have a black family in there that just happened to have blonde hair or whatever. I'm like, bro, are we doing this really?
But that was just shocked. Ridiculous to me.
But when they showed the trailer for this show, I just knew. I was like, oh, here we go again. When I saw Sarah, I was like, oh, she's supposed to be Sarah? Ooh. People like, I just knew they were going to shit on the show. Cricket, at least so far. I don't know.
Well, I mean, she died immediately, so you know. So it's not like you're gonna see a lot of her. So I mean, let's like said, like as like Kim said, let's do some flashbacks. You just moving on.
Right.
And so I think that could be real.
And I think the performances are gonna just override anyone's
I hope so.
Racism. Yeah. I hope, because it doesn't really matter. Like, he could have. This is the thing too. People are adopted every day, right? So why couldn't it have been an adopted daughter, right? If you want to go that far, right?
They did that with the Fantastic Four. People shitted all over Michael B. Jordan.
But Fantastic Four is that was a horrible movie.
But people focused on Michael B. Jordan for some reason.
It was so bad. Come on, you got to give me that. That movie was bad.
No, it was. No, but to the point.
Well, to your point, because a lot of people thought it was weird that it was a black dude that that his son was black, and a black dude's going to adopt 3 other white kids. They just thought that was a weird. But that's what it was. Because you never see that. It's usually the other way around. Usually it's a white parent adopting black kids, but how dare a minority adopt us? Which is ridiculous.
Which is ridiculous. But and then also too, it could have been his guy. I mean, there's so many ways that people make families, right? Like you have your family, then you have the people that you choose to hang around who are just like your family, right? So I think that's just ridiculous. The girl is beautiful. The performance was beautiful. The actors, they did a great job. Just let's move on. We don't need this racism to mess up everything.
Also to video game to live action adaptation. I hope this doesn't follow the Witcher format, where like every episode ends like a video game, where there's some big bad monster that that they have to fight to move on to the next stage. And I'm like, this is a video game. Like when I watched it, I felt like I was watching a live video game. So I hope they don't kind of do that. We're starting tomorrow, starting the next, every episode again, some big what are they called? They're not walkers. They're not zombies. What are the creatures called?
So the regular ones are called infected, and then there's another version of it that's even more evolved. Like the longer you've been infected, the more you evolve. And then the ones you probably saw in the trailer with the one with the stuff on his face, they're called clickers. They're the ones, they're blind. They're way much more deadlier than the regular the ones that you see are just walking around infected like in the beginning. Those are the ones that just turn. But the clickers, they're much faster and much more deadlier. Their faces open up and they kill you, but they're blind, but they have great senses. And then there's other ones above that, the big bloated ones that just kind of spews on you or whatever. So it's but they don't have the game doesn't have bosses. Like they have stuff going on with the different fireflies, and then the raiders. You got the slavers, the ones like the cannibals, the ones that basically you're trying to captures and try to rape people, stuff you got stuff like that. They're not really bosses per se, they're just different types of enemies,
that's good.
Which is different from The Witcher, because The Witcher, to your point, yes, the different levels, it is like a boss. But Last of Us, when they created the game, even then, a lot of people pointed out that the game was so cinematic, like a movie. That's why people were even saying, damn, this will make a great movie. You know what I mean? So the game kind of played like a movie in real time in a way. Okay. You know what I mean? Right. So
yeah. Well, PlayStation has, because my son, my oldest one loves PlayStation. The other one likes Xbox, like the newer ones, whatever. But he's always been more into Xbox. But he has PlayStation too. But I've noticed over the years, and I know I'm talking as a mom, but it seems like the video games are movies, right? Or am I reading this wrong? Because I basically watch my kids play games. Even as older men, they still play video games. So when they come visit, I watch them play. And I feel like PlayStation has gone above and beyond everybody as far as how they present games to you. Like it's a little movie, when you really look at it. And
it has a story. It has a story.
And it's and it's so well done. And the graphics are beautiful, and everything looks like. I feel like when I'm watching a PlayStation game, like I'm watching a movie on my TV, on my HD TV. That's how beautiful it is. So I feel like they captured all of that in this series. I will
say though, Sony bought the rights for the game, but I hate to just say it, but it wasn't Sony's doing. It was Naughty Dog, which is the company that created it. they did it, and then I think Sony was the first one to jump at it, because at that point I think even Microsoft, everybody else was like, well, shit, damn it, they're getting this great, like, because after they did like Uncharted, right? Uncharted was another big time game for Sony.
Yeah, I think my older son played that one.
Yeah, Uncharted, which ironically the guy who voices Joel also voices one of the characters in Uncharted as well. That allowed them to get The Last of Us and whatnot. And to your point, the only way they could beat Microsoft and beat like Nintendo was to have these games where it's like you felt like you were in the game, where it didn't feel like a game. It felt like you're watching a film or you're watching a show.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's why like The Last of Us, like when the game came out, it like won so many freaking awards, like insane. Like so much so that the remastered version came out just a few years ago and it still was like number one. You know what I mean? Because we were like, holy shit. And Last of Us 2 came out, big numbers, you know what I mean? Reception was a little bit mixed, you know what I mean? But but still, it's just the movie element of it, which was ironically the listen to the companionship podcast of it. They were saying that they were trying to get this on TV years ago, I think before COVID, actually, ironically, right? But the problem was the pitch didn't sound great, and they wasn't sure like who to go with and whatnot until one of the I guess the guy, the editor of the game watch Chernobyl on HBO, and he's like, oh my god, Chernobyl, like I need to talk to the guy who did Chernobyl, like, and see if like maybe we can have a meeting and sit down with HBO, because I think I can get this, you know what I mean? So they started sitting down, and then apparently Chernobyl was the thing that kind of made them say like, we can kind of create this world. We can kind of create this world where it's like of depression and like dealing with like people who are infected and all this other shit, you know what I mean? And HBO did, because if y'all saw Chernobyl, I thought they did a great job with that. With that, and that's the type of mood that they wanted for Last of Us as well. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think that's exactly kind of what the original was trying to do was with the games. Because to your point, David, a lot of games are not really meant for TV. Ironically, Last of Us, I think, was kind of made for it, if that makes any sense.
Because it was a mini movie already.
Yeah,
so
it was easy to transition.
Yes.
it was that well. I thought I said before, the Injustice games would be excellent live action movies, because I've seen someone took the cutscenes, as they call it, and put it on YouTube, and I was like, this would murder Marvel. Like this would, like if they put this out like just as is, just put the actors in this storyline, and they were like, oh shit, we're done. Like they were so good. Anyway, we gotta wrap this thing up. Kim, any final thoughts, predictions, or just things you just generally want to see?
Everything. I just want to keep watching it because I thought it was well done. I'm loving the acting. I'm loving the action. I like this better than Walking Dead, and because to me it's all that kind of apocalypse, kind of pandemic kind of. I can watch this, and it is gross to me, when you see it, but I think I can handle this one a little bit better than The Walking Dead. And I'm enjoying it the same way I enjoyed The Walking Dead in the beginning, right? So I'm feeling that now with this show. So I want to continue to watch and see how the show grows, and it's fantastic. I think it's really a good show.
Right, Jamani.
Well, as far as like The Walking Dead goes, like they did it on like I wouldn't say a shoestring budget, but they were limited as far as what the network could do. And this is HBO, and there's an actual visual as opposed to like comic books and stuff. Like there's an actual video component that is already in existence, so that they have to match. So they're gonna really bring it, and there's an end to it, unlike The Walking Dead. So that the story isn't going to
go on forever.
Stale, like The Walking Dead ended up getting. So this makes me a lot more excited for it. I think I'm gonna pick up maybe where I left off in the game and cheat ahead and watch some of these walkthrough of the video games to see what's coming. And
on YouTube is fantastic. You can find anything on this thing. It's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah.
And as far as like the voice characters, them bringing them back, I think that's something that we've never really seen done in any sort of medium. Like in watching one of the videos this week, I heard that like was it Ernie Hudson, who was in Ghostbusters, he wanted to be in the cartoon, and they said you don't sound enough like the character, and then they hired Arsenio Hall. So you so like them actually keeping some of the characters from the video game and bringing them into the show, that's like revolutionary, in and of itself. And kind of have me excited that, I actually have a reason to maybe want to go to Comic-Con this year. It's like I'm not really into the comic book type of stuff, but yeah, I think I have enough meat on the bone now. Let the Right One In was there last year. You got this. I've seen Walking Dead, Breaking Bad, stuff like that. Yeah, I think I'm in for Comic-Con now. Right. Let's keep it going for The Last of Us.
Cool. Chris, any final words?
Yeah. Just if you do Comic-Con, man, just be ready for the crowds, man. But and to your point about the walkthrough stuff on YouTube. Since this show came out, there's like now it's like a whole bunch of like everyone playing it. Matter of fact, I think the guy who plays Joel, you see, he's not like, apparently he never played the game, so he's like now playing it. He's like, I know, surprisingly, even though I voiced this character, I never played it. So now he's like playing. He's like, oh my god, like this is so much different than being in the vote, like what I mean. So it's just kind of funny seeing that. No, I kind of agree with you, Kim, in the sense that I love Walking Dead. Don't get me wrong. But one thing I always hate about certain horror movies or shows and whatnot, is that there's certain characters where I'm just like, man, realistically, I can outrun this person. I can do all this. And that was my only complaint about when it comes to like zombies, right? Now, granted, these aren't zombies, which I think is great. They're infected, right? And one thing I always thought was a crazy concept when 28 Days Later came out, was the fact that these guys ran fast, like they were like just like was overcome with rage. And I remember when that movie came out, when 28 Days came out for the first time, and I saw it, I was like, oh shit, I got scared shit. I was like, oh my god, these motherfuckers are running. Movie. Which because you never saw that with like zombie. They're not zombies again, they're like infected, but like the zombie-esque character. Yeah, you never saw that before. Like, so I'm thinking like, okay, there's 5 of them, you can outrun them, okay. And then a lot of times people always get like bitten or whatnot because like maybe they're not checking their back, or maybe they get surrounded. But nah, you got 5 of them running at you the same speed you. I'm like, oh shit, like, you know what I mean? And that's what freaked me out playing the game of Last of Us, because I was like, these fuckers are running after me. Like, oh, and I'm like, hurry up, reload. And I'm like, and you can have little commands to Ellie, because you're like, Ellie, like, hurry up and shoot, help me shoot. And you're trying to shoot them. And then I must have died like 30 times playing the game. You know what I mean? Next thing you know, a clicker's grabbing onto me and then like open up his mouth wide and just taking a chunk out my neck. And I'm like, shit, I'm dead again. Thanks a lot. Like, you know what I mean? And that's what I love. And that's what's so creepy and satisfying about this show, especially that the scene where Joe is running with his daughter, Sarah, into that like restaurant scene. And that, how horrific is that? That dude is like messing up his body to get to them. No regard to like
he doesn't, he's not in control. That's something that I learned from the podcast, was that they're not in control, because that's what the guy said. I didn't know that.
But that's scary as hell. Can you imagine someone who like, because even with the old lady, right? Because it was a mental thing that made her like confined to the chair, and and basically the fungi was like, screw that, like, and got into it where she could start moving her body again. But at the same time didn't have full control, which is why she kind of fell out of the house or whatnot and started like twitching a little bit. I was like, if you saw that in real life, holy shit, like, get the fuck out of there. Right. So that's what's so great about this show. And especially when I can't wait till they introduce the clickers, because the clickers going to be a problem, I think.
To the point about the clickers, I'm like, I wonder, was that the impetus or the inspiration for like The Quiet Place? Because like that, like it seems like that is like an evolution of that.
Yeah. I mean, maybe. I mean, yeah, probably. Yeah. I thought they just watched a lot of that Sam Chandra Bullock blind. Was it not Blind Side? What was the other one where it was like you had to not look at them or whatever? I don't know.
Oh yeah, with the
Yeah.
birds.
Oh, that
Oh,
was a strange
Box.
movie.
Bird Box,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, but no, I just like the fact that this was realistic-esque, you know what I mean? In the sense of like you're watching this, you're like, I could actually see this happening, you know? It's an extreme version, but unlike the other stuff we get, you can kind of see this happening, you know what I mean? Like it could, you know. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to whatever we got stopped for the rest of the season, and I'm looking forward to the growth in the relationship and the whole like I hate you thing with the whole Ellie and Joel. It kind of reminds me of Logan and I'm a Wolverine and Logan in the movie Logan with him and his like little clone, like them like hating each other, and then towards the end of the movie, like she realized like she needs him and he needs her, and that kind of creates the humanity both in both of them. And I feel like this would be kind of an awesome little thing to kind of do this in the show, you know what I mean? So you said you cried in that first episode, Kim. I feel like you might be crying a few more times, you know what I mean? It's you know, there's a lot of emotional moments. You know, I mean, not like oh my God, that's tragic moments necessarily, but just like more like, oh man, that's so nice. You know, that's why I made that joke about This Is Us, right? But I feel like there is going to be some elements of like This Is Us, you know, as well. You know what I mean? But you know, so yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I love it. So
I cried during Logan, so
yeah.
Just for him to come back for Deadpool 3.
yeah, which is weird, right? But I mean, but my son said because of universes they can do that or something like that.
It's called Disney money. They do it. It's like, hey, I'm too old for this shit. 20 million.
No, you ain't.
You know what? I got this. Like
I'm not even convinced that Robert Downey Jr. is even done myself. I'm just saying.
I was like, he just wanted to break. Maybe he just wanted to break. And he's like, I'm tired of this shit. And it's like, hey, I got that paycheck for you though. He's like, you know what? I'll be back.
All right, I'll come back.
He's gonna be an Ironheart. His voice is gonna be an Ironheart, is what they say.
Oh, is that confirmed?
Well, it seems more credible that like he'll be like it probably like the intro just to be like, hey, you know, this is the science. Cool. Yeah, that'd be cool. So that would be a lot of work. Anyway, guys, thank you guys very much for joining us in the chats. And we will do the show. We'll continue to do the show. We'll see how the views go. We got a lot of content, so we'll try to balance that stuff out. But let's get ready for Godfather of Harlem.